Hi, and welcome back to episode 6. I'm here with Eve, and we're going to continue on with our life of Jesus.
Welcome back. So, I don't know, for our audience, I'm going to try to do a little recap.
Yeah, recap's always good.
From what I recall, episode 5, we had a fantastic meeting with Elohim. I don't know, some of you may remember that, when Jeshua basically meets Elohim for the second time. Elohim, which we now understand as an extraterrestrial presence. That's what it is. And then there was the decision to go spend 6 years to the KRMEL School of Mysteries. And during the 2 days journey, going to the school, they unfortunately met a squad of Roman soldiers, right?
Which I think was something that happened all the time out there.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
And there was this grueling and horrible episode with Jeshua basically resurrecting or bringing back to life a mule, and the decurion slicing the throat, and anyway, so that...
Yes.
It was just horrible.
They didn't like for that kind of act to be done, so people would see that there are miracles that could happen,
Yes,
right?
probably, yeah.
So I'm sure other soldiers were probably like, wow, look at that. Who's he? Yeah.
So our main character, Jeshua, is now 6 years old, or 7 years old actually, and he's going to spend the next 6 years of his lifetime in the School of Mystery called the KRMEL School. So I've been doing some research on the internet, and there is nothing left of this school. So I would like to give some information about it. So the school is basically, when he sees it for the first time, it's located on top of Mount Carmel, which is a mountainous block on the west part of Israel today. And the orthography has changed a little bit. I mean, now they call it Carmel, C-A-R-M-E-L. At that time, it was a K-R-M-E-L. So it's not a big difference, but just want to mention that. And so the school itself is a big fortress, which is on top of the mount, and it's overlooking the sea. So on one side, you get a view on the sea, and the other side, you get a view on the countryside. And what Jeshua noticed is that the openings, the windows are very small, but the main doors are extremely heavy and very tall. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So today, on top of the Mount Carmel, there is a convent of nuns, which is called the Carmel Convent, whatever it is, and they have an order which I think is called the Carmelites.
So there is a Carmel, but it's not,
Well,
of course they're not going to call it a mystery school.
No,
but
it's not the same building. It doesn't look like what
he described.
What he described,
okay.
Yeah. So I suspect that the building has been probably torn down and been rebuilt later on at a much later date.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that building was actually built by the Egyptians, maybe 2,500 or 3,000 years ago.
Hence the big doors.
Hence the big doors and the heavy construction.
They were, yeah.
And this was done during the reign of Amenophis III, who happened to be the father of Pharaoh Akhenaten.
Oh.
So it's not any kind of pharaoh.
Right.
So as you may remember, Jeshua has a very dirty robe because the blood of the mule basically spilled on him. Yeah. And there is a tradition in the Essenian community that you cannot enter a temple or a school when you are dirty. So the poor Jeshua cannot enter the place.
Oh no.
And his father, and so they are calling basically some help. And one of the residents of the school comes with a horrible bag, and so Jeshua has to undress himself on the path, in front of everybody, and wear that horrible bag. And Jeshua described that as a bag with 4 holes. Two for the legs and two for the arms.
Oh my gosh, literally a bag, like they use it.
Well, it looks like a bag.
Hefty trash bag and just
potato bag, you know.
Oh my gosh. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. And so despite the fact that he's 7 years old, poor Yeshua feels really humiliated. And a thought comes to his mind and he says, you know, after cultivating humility with all my soul for so long, I was discovering humiliation.
Oh. Aww.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
So they are being driven into the main court of the school. You know, again, picture yourself a fortress, basically, right? With all the cells and the living space around, and then in the middle there is a big court. And they take basically, I think it was Yeshua, his father, Yusuf, and Isaac, the cousin, into the registering office. And they discuss, you know. And at that point, while they are in the office for the registration, 3 important persons are coming to see. Probably, you know, they heard that some newbies were coming, so they were curious.
Right.
And among them is the Venerable, who is the head of the school.
Okay.
Yeah, we will call him the Venerable. His name is never mentioned in the Akashic records, so he's only named by the...
Like the head of the...
The head, and they call him the Venerable.
Venerable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the Venerable says, you know, he's behind Yeshua, basically, right? So Yeshua is in front of some kind of desk. There is a massive guy doing all the registration paperwork, in a way, you know.
Right.
And the Venerable is behind, and he says, so it is him,
They already knew.
Yusuf. And Yeshua turns around and say, no, my name is no longer Yusuf.
Oh, that's right.
And so the Venerable tells him, so my son, what is your name? And Yeshua says, Yeshua, my name is Yeshua. Okay, so from now on, officially, the kid, the boy who was born Yusuf, Ben Yusuf, is going to use the name of Yeshua all the time, okay? We will not refer to him as Yusuf, Ben Yusuf anymore.
Okay.
It is, from now on, it is Yeshua.
Okay. And it's been registered now.
And it has been registered, and that's a name that was given to him by the Elohim under Mount Tabor, as some of you may remember. And so he's been recorded as Yeshua, who took 2 of Zerah Ushtar, which means Afshtara. They also indicate Afshtara. So all this means basically Jesus, official reincarnation of Zarathustra as an avatar.
So they knew that.
So they know all this stuff. And so at this point, you know, Yeshua doesn't recall very well what's going on, but there, you know, probably all the novelties and everything he doesn't recall. But he remembers that the Venerable gives some food to the father Yusuf and the cousin Isaac, who had lost everything with the Romans.
All right.
You may remember they lost their donkey, the water, and the food supply. So the Venerable provide them with something, you know, so because they have to walk back 2 days to go back to their village. And Yeshua doesn't have any recalls of goodbyes or anything. I mean, they're probably just leaving him in the school, you know, to avoid any emotional charges, basically. And at that point...
Oh, so they were just dropping him off.
Yes, he was being dropped.
Oh, I thought they were going too.
Oh, no.
No. Okay.
His friend Simon
That's right, Simon
was already there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I mean, you know, Yusuf and Isaac have nothing to do in the
Okay,
in the
so
School
they're
of
set up to go
Mysteries.
back now.
Yes, they are going back, and Jeshua is left to himself.
In a
to
potato
the school.
sack.
In a potato bag,
I
yeah.
hope that changes for him.
I hope too, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're taking him to his cell, basically, and the cell is very, very simple, very Spartan. It's just, you know,
Is it
4
more
walls.
like a room or a cell?
No, cell.
Why do they call it a cell?
Well,
it almost sounds like a prison.
yeah, but I mean, it's so Spartan, so devoid of anything.
Kind of like when you find a monk's room would be like.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So that's why I would rather call it a cell, because that's probably what it is, yeah. It has a mat on the floor, there is a blanket of heavy brown wool on top of that, and a jug of water, and that's it. Nothing else.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no shelves, nothing to sit, very, very Spartan. And Yeshua is very happy because he has a little tiny window from where he can see the countryside. So he's probably not looking at the sea, but on the other side. Okay. He's looking at all the fields and the countryside. And so during his first hours in the KRMEL, he's 7 years old, right? He's still being shaken by what happened on the way there, and he cannot understand, the cruelty of those Roman soldiers, in general, and the deaths, the way that mule was killed, and so he has a lot of thinking about that. And what he comes up is he realized that there is such an ample supply of love in the universe, but he said that so few human beings are capable of harvesting it, I mean, the supply of love is immense, right? But for some reason, our ego and our upbringing and our reasoning prevent us from accessing it. Yeah. And so he, from his 7 years old brain, he says, the soldier with his sword was probably just on the learning path, and he probably was just a young soul,
a newbie.
A newbie on this plane of existence, So, and as we know,
offering the contrast,
and as we know, the young souls are usually coming here with the worst intention for the other people.
Right. Well, they're offering a contrast
yes,
for us, which we were probably that at some incarnation, right?
Yes.
Our first incarnation.
Yeah, maybe 1,000 or 1,000,000 incarnations ago, we were like them too.
It's hard to imagine that you did anything bad or wrong, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But
so after a while, he hears a knock on the door of his cell, and he's being introduced to Brother Joachim. So Brother Joachim is going to basically take care of him for an extended period of time, and he's going to instruct him. So that's his private teacher.
Okay. Any idea how old Joachim might be?
Well, Joachim is probably in his middle. Yeah, I would say he's probably 30 or 35, maybe 40 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he describes it as being a well-built, a solid guy with a good face. His face has a lot of, how do you call that, wrinkles.
Oh.
That's how he's being described.
Okay,
yeah.
So you think he's only 30? So you think
Yeah,
he's
probably
older?
40.
He might be a little bit older.
Yeah, 40
I know
years old.
then they didn't live very long time.
No, they lived less.
I mean, it was a harder existence.
So what I wanted to mention too is that, interestingly, the grandfather of Yeshua was also called Joachim.
Oh.
So basically the father of Miriam, Mother Mary, was Joachim, and her grandmother was Anna. Some of you may know that. So Anna and Joachim basically had a daughter who later on became Mother Mary.
Is it just me? I just never thought about him having grandparents.
Well, yeah.
I don't know why. It never really dawned on me.
We don't know
It's like to
anything
think
about the grandparents on his father's side. That is not known. But on his mother's side, yes, there is a long history. There are multiple books which have been published. I mean, we will not go into any details.
Right.
But the grandmother of Yeshua had a very long life,
Right.
and with very interesting unfoldings. But I'll leave the audience to dig into it.
Yeah. Well, that book. What's the name of that book?
Anna, grandmother of Yeshua. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good book.
Yeah. So the dinner time arrives, and Yeshua basically sits with all the disciples of the school. And the way they sit is they sit on the floor, on mats, or rugs, and they eat directly on the floor. I mean, they have probably some type of plate or something like that, which is given to them. And the Venerable starts the ritual of the dinner, which is normally he takes a flat bread, and then the bread is being circulated all around the room, so everybody touches it. And then it goes back to the Venerable, who starts breaking it and making pieces. And those pieces are then going to be distributed to all the participants of the dinner.
Do they explain why they do that?
No, it's just
It
their
seems to be something energetic to me.
perhaps.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what kind of
probably
hit me.
it is.
Was
Yes,
like
I agree with you.
Something energetic.
Yeah. Like every member of the community
Connected to it.
is connected, and they're all connected together.
And they'll be taking that in.
Right.
Yeah.
So the bread goes around, and our poor Yeshua, 7 years old, has been working, the past day, has not eaten.
I'm
He's
sure
starving. I mean, he's so hungry. And I suspect the Venerable knows that and understands. So he's starting to grill him with questions. Instead of feeding him, he's actually giving him a
Let's
hard
see how
time.
you do under stress.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Poor baby. Oh my God.
So he's asking him all kind of philosophical questions, and Yeshua is not someone to say, no. So he responds, and he goes back to the attack, and he tries to place his point, And Yeshua actually feels a special energy coming into his body. And despite his hunger, he's inhibited by this flowing energy which gives him the strength. I mean, you have to picture that, right? He's 7 years old, he's just a little kid among these assemblies, this group of, most of them being middle age or kind of old ages, right?
Right. And but was Simon at the table too?
No.
Oh no! Oh,
No.
this is just.
No, this is just adults.
This is kind of his introduction.
Yes, this is just adults.
Oh, okay. I got it. It.
So, I mean, this is very intimidating,
Right.
And this is a new place. He has never been here. And here we go with the head of the school, the Venerable, trying to poke him and grill him.
But he could feel the Holy Spirit. Had been the Holy Spirit coming through him.
Probably some kind of energy.
Yeah. His higher
So,
self.
and at one point, he's so irritated by the questions and the remarks of the Venerable, he tells him that he would have preferred to be in the aisle dedicated for the young people, where his friend Simon was.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's very honest and blunt.
Oh my gosh! I would have preferred to be with my friend Simon.
I would have preferred to be with the kids on my age, instead of being with you, bunch of old farts, And so this is such a nice response that the Venerable stops immediately the grilling and starts the distribution of the food.
Oh. He might have had low blood sugar.
Maybe, or maybe he thought that there was no need
I've
to go
sat
any
at the
further.
table with people who have that.
Oh, you know some?
Couple.
A couple.
Couple in my life.
And so, the first dinner goes along, then he goes back to his cell, spends the night and everything. And then, of course, the Joachim is actually also grilling him in a certain way. And they're imposing him a cadence where every time they ring a bell in the hallway, he has to wake up and do prayers. And so the first night and the following nights, they do that all the time.
Oh my God.
Kind of to break his sleeping patterns, and habits. So I guess it's part of the training.
Well, he's going to learn to not have to sleep a lot.
Yes, but what they probably don't know is that when he was in Egypt, they taught him how to not sleep. You remember? That was part of his teaching when he was less than 5 years old.
Okay.
So he controls somehow the energy of his body. He knows how to keep it, upbeat, and he can actually spend nights without sleeping.
Interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Just better feed him.
Right. So the first week is dedicated to Greek, the Greek language. And so Yeshua is wondering, why do I have to learn Greek and so forth? And Joachim tells him, Greek is used for all the, I wouldn't say biblical text, but all the religious text, and historical text. And it's really the language of the people who are on a higher level of the society.
That's right.
So that's something to learn. And even for the memory, he said, you know, it's good for your memory. It's you're putting in place basically some mechanisms. And they're actually talking about neurons, which is incredible.
Oh, wow.
They are not calling them
Okay.
neurons, but he's saying that there are filaments in your brain which are rewired when you study.
Okay.
See?
I better start studying.
Me too. And so the first week goes like that, and the schedule is prayers, Greek, rituals, Greek, dinner, prayers, and then we start again in the morning. Prayers, Greek, rituals, Greek, dinner, prayers.
Wow.
That's how it goes.
Okay. So who's teaching him the Greek? Does he's going
Joachim.
to
Joachim, yeah.
So he just has that one person.
He has one, how do you call that? It's
Mentor?
a mentor, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a dedicated teacher just for him.
Okay.
And that Joachim is going to teach him for a little bit more than a year with a lot of stuff.
Will he ever see Simon, or am I getting ahead of myself?
Well, you're getting ahead of
Okay,
yourself.
sorry.
yeah. So after a week, the Venerable finally comes to Yeshua's cells and brings him a gift. And you're going to guess what it is. A new robe to replace that horrible bag that he has been
He's been wearing that bag that whole time.
for the whole week, yes. So finally, he's being given a new white robe with a belt, which is very unusual because in the Essenian traditions, you cannot have a robe with a belt. The belt indicates that you are adult. And being adult usually comes at the age of 13 or 14 years old after your bar mitzvah or whatever this ritual is done, you know, in the Jewish traditions. But for him, being 7 years old, he has now access also to the belt.
Oh.
Yeah. So the second week is dedicated to the language and the science of the flowers. And you would love that, right?
I love that. You can sit me in the cell and teach me that. Well,
Yes.
a nicer cell. I need a little comfort.
And
cell,
so,
but-
I mean, you know, of course, the Akashic memory doesn't give you all the details about what he's learning, but the idea behind that second week is that each flower is a vector of an idea. Okay, so it's carrying an idea, it's carrying a concept, a picture. And mixing flowers together, or making bouquet, or, you know, creating essential oils, is like constructing a sentence with power.
Okay. Oh. That's magical.
Yeah. He's also learning that some flowers have a direct correspondence with an organ of your body, right? And I think we know that now. We know that certain plants or certain flowers are going to help heal certain organs, you know?
Right.
Like the pine is in direct relation with your respiratory system, your lungs, and so he's learning all this stuff. And those plants which are in direct connection with an organs, they call them archetypes. Yeah. So as you can see, 2,000 years ago, the level of the teaching and the training was quite advanced.
If only we can do that today.
And yes, exactly. I wish we could do that today. You know, but the academia refuses, the modern academia refuses completely to do any of that because that would be
Going
against the pharmaceutical
pharma.
cartel and the big pharma, yeah. So he's learning, you know, collecting flowers, expressing them, creating essential oils or tinctures. And he likes it. Yeshua is very happy about that week because,
I'm
you know,
sure he loves it.
yeah, he loves
I mean,
it because most of the time they're outside.
Yeah.
They're on the countryside, you know, of the mount. And they have actually a lot of gardens around the school. I mean, they basically grow everything, you know, figs, olives, grapes, and an immense variety of flowers. So he enjoys it very much.
I would.
He's in the fields, in the garden, taking the sunshine, you know, not in a cell.
Everything we need just came from the earth, really.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. You're so right. Yeah. And so one day it's probably getting late and a little bit cool or cold, and he has his old brown wool coat on him, and he searches into his pockets and he finds 2 rolls. And suddenly he remembers that when he left the village, you know, a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks ago, his father gave him 2 rolls from Simon, for Simon actually. So there is 1 roll from the family of Simon, for Simon, and the second roll is from Miriam, the girlfriend of Simon, who is sending him a roll, you know, probably with some interesting things.
So you're saying a roll?
Well, it's like a little parchment, but rolled on itself, you know.
Okay, I'm thinking something to eat.
Oh no! Oh, you must be angry.
I'm like, wait a minute.
No,
Jimmy's in his pocket.
No,
Okay,
no.
So a scroll,
It's
little
a scroll, yeah.
Okay.
It's a scroll, but it's rolled. I mean, it's probably made with a leaf, the leaf of a palm.
Right.
And after being written, it's rolled and probably attached with a piece of shred or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I'm glad we clarified that.
so Jeshua is very happy because that gives him the opportunity to finally see Simon.
Oh, okay.
And so the Venerable allows him to visit Simon on the aisle, which is for the young people.
Oh, so he gets to see where all the young
So
kids are.
finally, he gets to meet all the kids, you know, and he sees his old friend Simon, and of course he gives them the scrolls, all the rolls.
It's
You
a little
know,
hard.
and they start talking about
Yeah.
the past and the villages and everything until the Venerable comes and basically calls back Jeshua and tells him to go back on the other side. So obviously the Venerable doesn't want Jeshua to spend too much time with the kids. Yeah. He wants him to stay with the adults and move as fast as possible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's a timeline.
So the 3rd week of training, we are back to Greek again.
Oh.
No more flowers.
Okay.
So that's how it goes. 4th week, flowers, no Greek.
Look, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's how they teach. So they dedicate an entire week to a subject, to a matter, and then after the week is gone, you move to another subject, another topic.
So every week.
Every
the
week you get a
whole-
different
okay.
a different subject.
I'm gonna
Yes.
try that.
Yeah, you know, which is very different from the way we are being taught.
Everything
today
at the
school.
same time.
Everything at the same time. You have an hour, 45 minutes or an hour for each subject, and basically you have no time to cover anything.
Yeah, you can't think about.
You don't remember anything.
You don't, because
You don't remember because you are just flooded with so much information,
So true.
and nothing stays in your brain, right?
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely can
Instead-
attest to that. Yeah.
Instead, you know, by spending an entire week on a certain subject, you can really go deeper into it.
Right. Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
I guess another recipe from 2,000 years ago that we should be using today
Right.
in our teaching system, you know, academia.
Kids
then-
are listening.
Yeah, after a month, basically, they move to another topic, and this is the Yeshua's favorite. It's the constitution of the human being through the different light bodies.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we can do a parenthesis here, but I'd like our audience to know that a human being is not only composed of a physical body. We are not a pack of cells, you know, and organs. We are much more than that. And so there is the physical body, there is the etherical body, which is providing the energy to the physical body, feeding it, right? And then above that we have the astral body, which is the siege of the emotions and the feelings, okay? And then above that we have the mental body, and I guess everybody knows what is the mental body because that's where your mind resides. And then above that there are 3 more bodies which are a little bit more hard to understand, but they are related to the spiritual side of us, of what we are. Okay, one of them is called the causal body, and then there are 2 more above that, which are even
When you say
more.
above that, do you mean like?
No, they are actually inside you. They are
Okay.
all smaller.
Okay.
The only one which is bigger than the physical body is the etheric body, And it's about, I would say, a half an inch to any people who in very good health. It's probably about an inch out of your physical body.
Okay.
Okay, so it surrounds you, all right, protects
Right.
you. But all the other ones, the astral body, the mental body, the causal body, are smaller and they are inside.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, we should not be confused by the aura.
Okay.
Each of these body has an aura. Okay, it's radiating a certain light, a certain frequencies around you, and those auras actually bigger than the physical body.
Right. You can have an
You
aura
can-
that
yes,
fills a room.
right,
Yeah.
and you can see the auras, right?
Right.
Where it is actually very difficult to see the other bodies because they are inside
Because
you.
they're inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's inside is radiating out. But
Yes.
it's all good in here, right?
Yep. So again, this is what he's learning. So again, let's think about it for a minute, right? 2,000 years ago, in the School of Mystery, in the Essenian community, in the KRMEL, they were learning about the true and secret nature of human being. Today, despite all the fantastic equipment we have and the big academia and the billions of dollars invested into research, we know nothing, zero about those sides, those aspects, zero.
So unfortunate.
Yeah, it's really important.
Because it really would be a natural thing.
Yes, it would be
Very
a natural,
natural
thing.
thing.
And it would make so much sense, and people would understand why they have so many issues. And issues could actually be cleared and healed in a much better way.
Right.
But no, no, we clear and we heal issues with pills. That's
Right.
all we know,
Right.
unfortunately. Something else I wanted to say also is that very often, on YouTube and other channels, I mean, they talk about Essenian community, and everybody goes always to Qumran. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's where they found the scrolls.
Right, that's where they found the runes and the scrolls. But I think it's important to dissociate the Essenian community where Yeshua was incarnated, right, in the northern part, from Qumran, which is close in the southern part, close to Jerusalem, right? And those two are really two different cult or sect, if you want, and two different groups, and they are not exactly following the same
But I think there was
teaching.
more than just two tribes.
Oh, there may be
I mean, I think
many.
of them as tribes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
They're
maybe.
just
Yeah.
different.
But what I hate is when they assimilate the upbringing of Yeshua to the Qumran Essenian community. He has nothing to do with them, and we will see later during his life that he tries to go to the Qumran community and he is not at all welcome.
Oh.
They don't like him.
Well, that's
Yeah,
weird.
because they are different.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that I just picture all the Essenians to be
No.
loving, but they're
No,
not.
they are not. No. And I think the most advanced are the one in the northern part, in Galilee, basically, and the one which are going to the KRMEL School. They are by far the most advanced at this point, And that's probably why Yeshua was incarnated at that specific location,
Right.
because there was a lot of work to be done in that country, in the Middle East, at that time.
Right.
Yeah, and we still have a lot of work to do today.
I think the same work.
Yes,
I don't think anything's
nothing has
really changed.
Nothing has changed.
I mean, the scenarios are all the same. The wars, the killing, the
Right,
everything.
yeah.
Same thing.
So, the months are passing by, and Yeshua really enjoys the teaching with Joachim. He enjoyed the classes, and I suspect that he's an excellent student too.
I'm sure.
So again, after the light constitution of the body, actually I should say the constitution of the light bodies of the human being, we go back into flowers and so forth. So after a year, they have been covering 12 different topics. So the Akashic Memories doesn't tell us which one or the other one. We saw Greek, we saw flowers, and we saw the explanation of the etheric,
Subtle bodies.
the subtle bodies, yeah, exactly. But we don't know what the other ones are.
Are there any of his other books that would explain a little bit more detail?
I doubt.
There's
doubt.
no,
Because
you
that,
haven't
that
read
part,
any of them that
no, that
explain
part of
that?
his life is so secret, you know.
Right.
I mean, nobody has
That's
ever.
why it's called the Mystery School.
Yes, yeah.
Stays
Nobody.
mysterious.
It stays where it is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the good stuff is that the Venerable now, you know, seeing that he's a good student and making good progress, he allows Yeshua to spend time with the kids of his age.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
So
Yeah.
usually instead of taking the dinner with the old crowd, he goes on the other side of the building and,
Oh,
and meets his,
that's so nice.
which is
so
which
glad.
is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the second years start. So Yeshua is now 8 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is his second year at the Carmel. And keep in mind, he's going to stay another 5 years in that school.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you said 7 years he'd be there?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. So I guess the first year has been so preoccupied and so busy, you know, he didn't have much time to think. But on the second year, he's starting to wonder and think about his family.
Mm.
You know, his father, his mother, he's missing his mother a lot, and also his young brother, Judas.
Right.
So,
Yes.
you know, he remembers all this, and but he never hears about them.
Mm-hmm.
They never communicate, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is again typical of the Essenian tradition, where they are actually pushing the kids to become independent and to get out of the family as quickly as possible and contribute to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They don't want them. They don't want them like our, you know, modern kids who at 30 years old sometimes are still stuck with their parents.
Right. That wouldn't be a good thing.
No,
Yeah.
they are pushing them away. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to fend for your life. At one point, also, he's wondering if his intellect is going to take over his heart, because he's learning a lot of intellectual things, you know, metaphysical, chemistry, the flowers, all the, you know, the Greek, the language, and he thinks that sometimes, you know, the mind may take over the heart.
That's interesting that
Yeah.
even at his age, because here we tried the reverse, right? It's
Yeah.
always, we're trying to get to the heart and get out of the mind, and he's afraid to get in there.
Yeah.
Like he has an awareness of that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, you know, the favorite subject for him is the nature of the human being, his structure, you know, and how to read the auras and how to look at that, yeah. And so one day, after a year and a half of teaching, Joachim comes to his cell, you know, and tells him that he has taught him everything he knew, and that from now on, he doesn't know what to teach him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We have come to the point where the student has passed the master.
Oh,
So in 8.5 years old, basically.
so he'll be teaching the next one that comes in. Or the master will switch cells.
So very humbly, you know, he says goodbye to Yeshua, and Yeshua is actually very, very sad of that decision, because that
I'm
was,
sure he misses
I
he'll
mean,
miss them.
that was pretty much his entire family
Right.
in the school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's Joachim that he was seeing every day. And I don't want to unveil the future, but he will meet Joachim again much later in his lifetime.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so, not knowing what to do, our poor Yeshua, you know, stays in his room and he's being asked basically to wait and pray.
Oh.
So for a couple of days, he stays in his room and he prays, you know. And then one day he goes onto some kind of terrace. There are like big towers, you know, and on top of the tower there is like a flat area. And he's laying in the sun and, you know, just thinking about what's going to happen to him. And so he lays flat, and at one point he has his first conscious out-of-body experience.
Oh.
So his consciousness lifts out of his body,
Mm-hmm.
which is, as we know, the astral body, right? It's
Right.
what we call astral traveling. And so the astral holds the mind and holds the other subtle bodies, you know, so the whole package basically detach from the physical body, The physical body, the etherical body, which is providing energy, stays with the physical body always. Okay,
Right.
but the other subtle bodies like astral, mental, causal, all these are being taken away. And he sees himself, laying on the terrace. He sees the KRMEL structure from high end, and then at one point, his astral body is pulled into the hallways of the school, and he goes through corridors and staircase and everything. It's like he has no control about it.
Oh, so it's taking
Yeah,
him with
he's being pulled.
Okay,
And
that's interesting.
he comes into a cell, which is the cell of the Venerable. And he sees the Venerable in the middle of the cell. He probably has a room perhaps a little bit fancier than the other ones, but he's in the lotus position, sitting in the middle of the
Venerable
room.
Pi sees him.
Yeah, and Yeshua from his astral body, because his whole consciousness is with the astral body, right? Mm-hmm. He is in the room, he sees the Venerable, but the Venerable is not moving. And then he hears a voice, Brother Yeshua, multiple times.
You didn't knock.
Yeah, but the shape of the Venerable is not moving. Mm. So he turns around, and in a corner of the room, the Venerable is also in his astral body.
Okay.
And that's how he's communicating with him.
Okay.
So those two are communicating in the astral world. And at that point, the Venerable tells him, I will now be your instructor. Oh. So for the 5 remaining years, you will be my student.
So he was drawn right to that room.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and the Venerable tells him, I'm the one basically who went to pick you up on the terrace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I went to pick up your astral body and I pulled you here.
Okay, that's why it was like a...
Exactly. That's why he was led to that specific room. So, and they decide basically to... they have a very in-depth discussion, all in the astral plane. I mean, they don't even use their own physical body or the voice.
So they were
of the soul.
Telepathically communicating.
Well, yeah, I guess
most likely
communication is done telepathically.
Yeah, I guess if you're
right.
in that body, it'd be telepathic.
Yeah, it's mind to mind. And they have a discussion about the purpose of the life of Yeshua. What is the reason why you came on this planet? What is your role in the future? And the Venerable tells him, your star, your goal is the most difficult of all. It's called freedom. You're coming to teach the human race how to become free.
I think we lost that lesson.
Yes, unfortunately, a lot of it.
That sacrifice he made.
Yes.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that's what he will be doing all the subsequent years when he's teaching, all the disciples and everything.
Right.
The goal will always be freedom and understanding nature and the true nature of God. Yeah. And he's right, because without freedom there is no free will, and so there is no creation.
Right.
There is nothing.
That's right. That's why they want to take away our freedom.
Yeah.
Take away freedom, take away the free will. And
this is once you take away the freedom,
robots.
You take away the free will, and then people just become empty shells, zombies. Yeah. So the instruction starts, for the next 5 years, that's going to be. And so Yeshua discovers every nook and cranny of the KRMEL. I mean, the Venerable takes him to all the subterranean passage, And for people who are interested, there is a very good description of the KRMEL School in a book which has been published in English. So we'll try to put that again on the video.
Okay.
And so people can read it. It's the memories of Simon on the other aisle of the school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he gets to see that too.
He gets to see some of it, yes. Yes.
Okay.
And there is a big initiation that Simon takes, which is called the labyrinth. And I think he's being taken into some kind of underground passages, somewhere. some kind of underground labyrinth, and he's being left there. And he has to find a way out by himself. And the only way you can find a way out is by getting out of your physical body, being in the astral,
and then
finding the path,
right,
and coming back, and then following it with your physical body.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but all this is being described in the first book, which has been fortunately translated in English. So, if people wants to read it, they can refer to it. And since he is now the student of the Venerable, he does not visit the young people anymore. They don't, there is such a gap, a discrepancy, which has been created between the two groups. I mean, Jeshua is so advanced. I mean, we have to realize that he's right below the Venerable. Right.
Second in
the
right
command.
hand. Yeah, the
second in command, basically, right?
Yeah.
And the kids are so far away, I mean. And the poor Joachim, who was his previous instructor, is actually trying to avoid him. He feels like he's not worth,
Especially because he's so young.
Yeah.
If it was older person, he probably wouldn't feel that way.
Right, exactly. So Joachim feels like he's unfit to talk to him, and he feels very, very sad, which is very, very regrettable. Anyway, so around 12 years old, Jeshua is now 12 years old, he has a very strong existential crisis, where he's wondering if he went wrong, if something happened. And again, the Venerable tries to help him and comfort him in the fact that he's in the right direction and that there is never anything wrong that happens in your life,
Right.
And I think it's also good for us, right?
True.
We know that everything that happens in our life has a reason, right?
There's a reason, but sometimes we create those reasons because we don't follow our heart, right? We follow the mind, and then we make mistakes, and then we have to get corrected back again. And that's where it's like everything happens for a reason. We got to get you back on track. So anyway.
And that's exactly what the Venerable is doing. He's recentering Jeshua, and he's asking him to accept the flow of love that comes from the universe, which is the most important and difficult thing to do. Yeah. And then one day, he's going to the Venerable cell, for his daily training. And another disciple tells him, no, you shouldn't come because the Venerable doesn't feel good at all. And so Jeshua goes, it doesn't matter, I want to see him. And he gets into the room of the Venerable and he realizes that he's heavily sick. He has what they call ulcers on his legs.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so basically his legs are like open wounds, like we see sometimes in old people, And so it's oozing, it has pus, all kind of really nasty stuff.
Poor circulation, yeah.
And the Venerable cannot even stand up, he's very tired, he's suffering. And Jeshua just entered the cell, he sees that, and again, like 6 years ago, when he was in presence of the mule, there is a rush of energy that comes through him, and he puts his hands directly on the open wounds, he's not afraid, not disgusted or anything. He puts his hands on the wounds of the old man, and he heals his legs.
Those are healing hands.
Yes, those are healing hands, yeah. So, 12 years old, doing his second miracle, basically.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, of course, the Venerable is very enthusiastic about that. They cannot believe it. Joachim, who was watching from the entrance of the cell, comes and bow in front of Jeshua and kiss his feet. Yeah. I guess they all realize that he's the true Avshtara, the avatar, And he comes with all his power.
It's gonna make me cry.
Yeah. Okay, well, and now is our student Jeshua is 13-year-old. Basically, he has seen everything. That KRMEL school can no longer teach him anything that he doesn't know. that he has not mastered. So one good day, his father and Uncle Yusuf are coming into the courtyard of the school to pick him up
Oh my
and
gosh.
bring him back to the
So he doesn't
village.
even know. All of a sudden they just show up.
They show up, and they take him back to the village. So of course they don't even recognize them. I mean, Yeshua doesn't recognize, or barely recognize his father. He said he has some gray hair now. He's more wrinkles. And Uncle Yusuf, who has been very active and who had also a very long life, has also, showing
Aged a little bit.
age a little bit, and he's showing, the responsibility of his life and everything. And Yusuf, the father, and Uncle Yusuf are not recognizing Yeshua because he's now an adolescent of 13-year-old.
Right, he's changed a lot.
Very long hair, wild hair, curly, and he's a young
His
man.
voice has changed.
Yeah, his voice is changed. I mean,
Yeah.
he's well built. I mean, as we will see later on, he grows much taller than all the people in the Essenian community.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has a little bit of that Egyptian blood going on, or
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it stands out definitely.
Yeah.
In a crowd, he's
Yeah.
at least a head above everybody else. Yeah.
Well, I meant like extraterrestrial.
Right.
When I
Oh,
think
yeah,
of
yeah,
Egyptian, I think of more of the extraterrestrial.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So this is the conclusion to the KRMEL School of Mystery training, which have been taking place 6 years. And in our next session, episode 7, we will be talking about the return to the village, what has happened to his family. We'll see some birth.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They've been staying quite active over there.
Oh.
And some new friends and some revelations. Yeah. So we'll talk about Yusuf, the father, is going to talk to Yeshua about some of the revelations taking place inside the family. We have already talked about that during the section about the Immaculate Conception, but we'll get back to that as well.
Okay, what fun. Well, thank you so much for coming back and checking out our episode here. We look so forward to seeing you all again. And please like and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thank you.